Life is meant to be lived. You want adventure, excitement, to travel and explore the world as well as your own creative potential. The future belongs to those who dare greatly. But then a voice in the back of your head is telling you, no, you need to get a job, save money, be responsible, play it safe. Which is the right approach? YOLO or join the rat race? And what if it's neither? When you're young, it's the right time in life to take some risks. Is that really true? In this video, let's examine that. And this is advice for young people. If you're in your early 20s and you want to make something of yourself, and especially if you're ambitious and you want to do some extraordinary things, here are 3 things you must know about risk taking, because the kinds of risks you take and how you take them makes all the difference. And to explain, we'll use this. The first thing you need to know about risk taking is that playing it safe is too risky. Older people will often give you all kinds of well-meaning advice that basically boils down to play it safe. What exactly does it mean to play it safe? Well, it basically means do the thing that worked for previous generations and doesn't ruffle any feathers. So yes, for your parents and your grandparents, it was probably a very good idea to get good grades, get a university degree, and then find a job with a big company. That was a safe choice. Might not have been the best choice, but it was safe. But is that really still true? Well, a problem with this approach is that the world keeps changing. And so playing by the previous generation's playbooks can actually become a risk in itself. You risk missing out, and this is called opportunity cost. Here's an example from my own life. When I started building my first online business, this was a very strange and a pretty risky thing to do. Most people's reaction to the idea of creating an online business and making money with an online business was something like, that's not like a real business, is it? Or isn't that kind of like a scam? And shouldn't you get a real job instead? Of course, in retrospect, it is now obvious that it was actually a really good idea to learn how to build websites, to learn how to create online business, to learn about online marketing and so on. It just didn't become obvious until much later. So playing it safe can lead you to miss out on some of the biggest opportunities and miss out on the things that are now still weird and become normal later on. And so this is a reason why indeed, when you're young, it's the right time to take certain kinds of risks, such as starting your own business, joining a startup, striking out to try to make it as an artist, as a creator, as a streamer, and investing in volatile, risky new assets such as crypto. But in order to really benefit from this, you have to know about the second thing, which is you must manage your risk and limit your downside. And okay, that sounds pretty boring. Am I about to take all the fun out of risk taking here? Let's dissect that. What does it actually mean to manage your risk and limit your downside? So that brings me back to this. Not using a condom is a risk. And like any risky choice you might be tempted to make, it has upsides and downsides. So what is the upside of not using a condom? Well, it's going to feel better for like 2 minutes or maybe a bit longer. But the point is, it feels better for a very limited amount of time. There's no long-term benefit to this decision. On the other hand, what are the downsides? Well, a downside could be that you catch an STI and that can lead to pain and problems for a long time, maybe even the rest of your life, huge medical bills, and so on. A downside can be an unplanned pregnancy, and that can derail your entire life for at least the next 2 decades. So when it comes to condoms, the decision to take the risk there has a very small upside and an absolutely massive downside. And that is the kind of risk you have to avoid at all costs. In fact, when you're young, you should be extra vigilant about risks like this, because you have a lot of future ahead of yourself. So anything that can derail your entire future is more costly for you than for someone who's older. Compare that to the kind of risks that you should be taking. So let's say you try to start your own business. What's the upside? Well, if it works out, maybe you make millions, you retire early, and on the way, you also create great partnerships, build your network, learn loads of valuable skills, and so on. This is a huge upside. What's the downside? Well, maybe it doesn't work out, in which case you lose some money and a few years of your life. And when you're young, that is a cost you can easily pay. To make that more practical, here's the important rule to keep in mind. You need to manage your risks in such a way that you can always keep playing. Again, if we take the example of starting a business, you can do it in such a way that you keep your costs at a minimum. You basically just hustle and grind and try to make it work. And if it doesn't work, you haven't lost a lot. But you can also start a business by taking on a huge loan and putting yourself into a terrible position, deep in debt. And then if it doesn't work out, you've created a situation for yourself where it can derail the majority of your future. So it depends on how you take your risks. We learn the most from our mistakes, so it's important that you choose your risks in such a way that you can make several mistakes and still keep moving on. And that's why it's so important to avoid risks like serious injury, unplanned pregnancies, debt, addictions, and death and things like that. It also means taking your losses and not doubling down on your mistakes. So don't pile on more debt onto an already failing business to try and save it. Don't put all your money into an already losing investment. Take the L and keep playing. And of course, when I say it like that, it seems obvious. Why wouldn't you do that? Well, that's where thing number 3 comes in. This is not your heroic moment. Look, the stories you've been told are misleading in one very crucial way. You have seen this kind of thing play out in movies and shows and games over and over again. There is a moment where the circumstances are dire and there is swelling music in the background, and the hero, with their backs against the wall, decides to go all out one last time to turn the situation around and defeat the big bad. Now, this makes for nice storytelling, but it is terrible life advice unless you're literally fighting a dragon. In real life, we can very rarely solve a problem by kind of digging deeper and finding some final resolve and just trying the same thing that we tried before again, but harder. That generally doesn't work. And if we follow this kind of recipe, if we follow this hero's approach, then that leads us exactly to double down on our mistakes. So instead of saying, okay, I tried the thing, it's not working, let me go try something else, we go, oh my God, this is my hero's moment, I have to give it all. And of course, if other people tell you, hey, maybe this is a bad idea, if the world is giving you signs that say this is not going to work, you think, oh, this is the moment. This is where I have my back against the wall and I can prove everyone wrong. In most cases, this is a terrible idea. So the rule here is simple. Don't be deceived by these stories unless you're in a literal life or death situation. Remember the second thing we talked about. Take your losses and keep playing. So if you're young and you want to do extraordinary things, then risk-taking with these 3 points in mind will take you far. If you want to learn more about how to strategically think about risk and how to make the best possible decision in almost any situation, check out the free class that we have on this topic on our website. We'll also link to that in the description. Now, if you have any questions on this topic, if there's anything else you'd like to learn about this, or if you have any feedback, let us know by leaving a comment below.